At times, you might come across data which has been organized in a hierarchical format. For example, you have, let's say, region, and then manager, and let's say you have the salesperson, sales rep. Okay, so this is one hierarchy. You have some sales reps reporting to a particular manager, and there would be a group of such managers belonging to a particular region. So region becomes the first level of hierarchy, second is manager, and the third level is sales reps. Similarly, we have some data over here on the left, and here we have the hierarchy. The first level is about the lamp category. The next hierarchy is about the region. So that's 2 levels of hierarchy here. Now, generally, whenever you get such kind of data, it would be amazing if we can have some chart that can do sufficient justice to a hierarchy as well. And that is where Excel has provided us with 2 more chart types, which are for a hierarchical set of data. One is the tree map and the other one is the Sunburst chart. First, let us prepare a tree map chart. It's pretty easy to prepare. All you need to do is select the data sets. It's okay even if you have blank cells under the hierarchy, because Excel understands that all these records belong to this cell itself. But otherwise, if in case Excel fails to understand it, the safest way would be to have these cells filled with respective lamp category. For example, all CFLs here, all FLs here, and all LEDs here. This is absolutely fine. You can do that. And then select the data, select the tree map. Quite easy, simple. Let me get rid of the chart title here. I don't want the chart title. We have some more space. Let me expand this. Well, we do have this hierarchy formed. The blue one represents CFL, orange one represents the regions, the data for FL, and gray one represents LEDs, which is absolutely fine. But there is something missing here. I don't see the numbers. It would be really awesome if I could get some numbers as well, because take a look over here. The major chunk of revenue for LEDs is coming from the Northeast, and next it's from West region. So as we proceed further with each box, the last box is often the least contributor or the one with the least value in it. Now take a look here. The highest contributor is West zone, and then the Northeast, Midwest, Southwest, and Southeast. Now this time it's Southeast over here, but if you check the FL, it's the West zone. Well, that's all good. At least I know for respective product categories which zones are the best performers and which zones are the worst performers, but I can't see numbers unless I move my mouse over there. So let's click here and I get this option here. We have the data labels. Further, let's right click on it and click on Format Chart Area. Chart Options. We have Data Labels. Click here. Label Options. We have Series Names, Category Name, and Value. I want values. And here we have them. And here further, apart from adding the values, probably you might want a different separator. May not be a comma. You can have a semicolon, period, a new line, or a space. Okay. Or maybe you might try out just a hyphen. So here we have this, a hyphen. Let's give some space in middle. And great. So we have Northeast, and this is the value. Northeast again over here. We have some value here. Now moving on, I would also like to see. Now while we have these numbers, I see the LED, CFL, and FL appearing as just one of the objects over here. You can see just representing or appearing in one of the boxes in each category. Probably they might go unnoticed. So for that, under the series options over here, let's click on this drop down. Here, if you check under Viewer, under the data labels, And now we click here and select series. Now under series options, overlapping is what it is by default. If you click none, it does not appear at all. But if you click banner, it appears like a heading. And this makes it stand out. So this is how a tree chart is like. You can see different components and different regions contributing to what extent there. Now there are a few options available for customization. To an extent, yes, you can change the colors, something like this, as vivid as this. Or you also have a gradient options here. I do like this one. So we have it here. But legibility could be an issue, so accordingly we might want to change it. Great. So here we have this. But now again, when I change the style, the heading is missing. Again, it got merged. So I'll have to right click on it, go to Format Chart area, under this series, come here and select banner. And here we have this. Good. And this is how we can have our hierarchical data organized. All these boxes, the size of boxes represents the amount contributed by each of these regions for respective product type. Now moving on, another form of hierarchical data is hierarchical chart is the Sunburst chart. Now here we have this data slightly reorganized or rearranged. And this time the first level of hierarchy is the financial year or the year. Next we have the region. And then now the third hierarchy is the product category. Unlike the previous one where we had product category first, we have it as over here as the third in the hierarchy. Well, it's not that Sunburst chart will not work on this. It will work on it, but does it make sense is to be checked. Let me show you how. We select this data and under insert, we have this. I select Sunburst chart and yes, we have this. So first level of hierarchy over here, CFL, FL, LEDs, and under each of them, we have these regions under it. Okay. The only thing is that the Sunburst chart does not have enough space to show you the values as well. So you might have to move your mouse over them. But this just looks like a wheel. Let me try to make it something interesting. Okay. For this, I had rearranged the data and here we have 3 levels of hierarchy. So what will happen if I select this data? Like I told you, you can fill this entire blank cells with 2016 and its regions as well, or you can leave them as it is. Excel is smart enough to now pick it up. Select this entire table all the way till 78, row number 78. Once you have this selected, click on Insert, click here and Sunburst. Wow, now this all the more messy. Let's make it a bit more attractive by clicking here. Okay. Well, it does not look anything beautiful yet. But let me remove the chart title here. We'll remove the chart title here. Now it looks slightly bigger. Let's make it a bit more bigger. Great. So what do we get here? 2018. You have different regions under that, each of the product categories. And depending on the quantum of contribution by each product category within each region, the width or the size of these boxes would appear. Now let's take an example. Now let's say I do not have any of these categories available for historical data, let's say until 2019. Okay, I don't have the breakup. So I would just delete this. Now if you notice, its first level of hierarchy is 2018, 19, and 17 and 16 over here. And then next level of hierarchy is the region. But we don't have the third level of hierarchy here. But we do have the third level for 2020. Hence, we can see that hierarchy here for 2020, but we do not see that for the rest of those years. So in case if you want to focus on any specific year, well, it would mostly be the most recent year, right? You just want the information and that's it. You don't want to bother about any other set of data. Maybe you might just want to have a total here, something like this. If I were to rearrange this data and make it look much more beautiful or much more appealing, then it would be having the totals for each of these regions, for those which I do not have any more bifurcation, and then just have them as it is for 2020. Here it is, and this is the Sunburst chart, again a hierarchical chart. If I were to undo this, we have all the data over here. So it's quite messy, but then again, it totally depends on where and how you want to use. For example, you might have one section highlighting the list of expenses. Under each of these list of expenses, you might have some subheadings and some more details. Maybe here you have income and some subheadings under that as well. So you can just go on to multiple layers or multiple levels of hierarchy, and that's absolutely fine. But still, remember, the more the level of hierarchies, the much messier it looks. If you don't want it to look messy but still have all the hierarchy as it is, then just get a bigger screen and then increase the size, something like this. Let me show you. You see? Well, now it's much better than before, but it takes up my entire screen space. So use it diligently and efficiently. Now let us try out the radar chart. A radar chart, also known as a spider chart, or I would say it looks like a spider web at least, but it generally helps you compare the values of 3 or more variables relative to a central point. So let's take an example over here. It generally gives you a visual mapping of each parameters as against the average as well. It would be best if I can show up an example over here, and it's pretty easy to pull up a radar chart. All you need to have is your data organized properly and you will get it through. Take an example of this data set over here. It's an extract of a survey conducted for a particular course. So we have some criteria over here, and all of these parameters have been marked on a scale of 1 to 10 or eval. So we have responses from 3 participants, and the first one, second one, and third one. So 3 people responded to this survey, and let us get this onto a chart. I select this data, click on Insert, go to Charts, All Charts, and here we have the radar. Well, here we have the 5 data points. And then this one may not make sense right now because this is not what we need. So ignore the second one. The first one is what we are looking for. And just click OK. Here you have this. Let me remove the chart title for now. I want to make the chart look bigger so that I can have a better view on it. So here we have. Great. So for this chart, if you see, this is the center point at 0, and each line, the gray lines, the thin gray lines that you see, is a grid line. Okay, these are the grid lines. And when you measure against each of these grid lines, just imagine this to be something like a line chart, but it's not exactly a line chart. You're being measured on these grid lines for each parameter. For example, first one is course content. That's course content here. Participant 1 is blue, the second one is orange, and third one is gray. So the blue one had rated the trainer or this course as 2 for course content. So here we have this blue one towards course content, this point at 2, and the second had rated at 4. So this is where the second participant had rated, and the third participant rated at 3, and that's here. Okay, all of this with the center of 0 as the starting point. Against this, where do they match or where do they fare? The best part of this chart is you can have a quick glance on the overall performance on multiple parameters at the same time. Here we have 5 parameters that we are working on, so hence it looks like a pentagon. It looks like a pentagon, but you can have 6, 7, or make it look like a decagon as well. That's absolutely fine, but you need to understand that the data should be legible and should make sense. So here we have this. Now take a look at the one responded by the third participant. It's the gray one. So this person has rated 5 or given the rating of 5 for clarity. That's like full 5 out of 5. And then when it comes to subject knowledge, it's 4, 3, and then here again, what do we have? This at 3 for meets learning goals. And then time management, it's just 3 again. So overall, this person seems to be quite happy, and hence it is, right? So the farther away each point is, the higher the score is. The closer it is towards the center, for example, over here, we see meets learning goals. The blue one, that's the first participant, has rated 1. That means he is not happy with this. He or she is not happy with this course. Okay. But the one in gray seems to be quite happy in terms of clarity, but otherwise he's still given the average rating overall. But I think the most happier would be of the 3 is the second one, because the second participant has given a rating of 4, 4, and again 4 over here, and 3 in only one area, or rather that was 2 actually, and 3 in clarity. Okay, it's 4, 4, and then again 4, 3, and 2. So this person seems to be much more happier, although not happy about the time management, which is still fine. So this is one way how you can measure this. Now you can use this for any form of psychometric test. You can use it for a student's academic performance and so on. You might also want to add one more column over here. Let's say I move this over here. I'll move this data towards the right and add another column here. Let's call it as benchmark, or you can take it as a average. I mean, let's say this survey was answered by 20 participants. So what has been the average of all of them? Or maybe you might have your own internal benchmark wherein you say, we call this course a success if the respondent or the participant has given at least 4 in each of those parameters. So if benchmark of measuring success of this course is number 4 for each of these parameters, then let's map it out over here. Let me give the formatting. Take this entire table, or rather you can just click over here and chart design, select data. We have 3 participants here. Now I want to add the benchmark. So series name is the benchmark and series values are these. Click OK. I can move this up and click OK again. So here we have the benchmark is a yellow one. Now it's overlapping with the orange one, or rather I would say the orange one is overlapping the yellow one, so we can't see the border, but yes, there it is. Well, in case if you feel time management may not be that easy, at times it would be quite difficult. So it's okay even if someone gives an average rating for time management at 3, that's fine. So again, here it tilts. Meets learning goals, it's a 4. Subject knowledge, clarity, and course content, you definitely want to see them at 4. Okay, but subject knowledge, let's say you want the best, that's 5. Or what if it was, if decimals were allowed, then 4.5. Then take a look at this. This is somewhere between 4 and 5. That's the way how you can measure multiple parameters all at one shot.